What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Best One, Worst One, the show that takes a look at your favorite movies, actors, directors, and a variety of other topics, and we ask you to choose the best one and the worst one. On today's episode, I'm joined once again by my Careful for Spoilers co-host Lola and Brad, as we talk about the legendary Nicolas Cage. Now, I want you guys to name a Nick Cage movie that you watch like every year or every 2 years. One that you just have to see now and again just to get a good laugh or just to be entertained.
Con Air.
Con Air.
Con Air is definitely one that is always in the mix for me. Man, Con Air is such a good one. The one that I probably watch the most is one that I'll talk about more in depth later on, Matchstick Men.
Oh my God, that's... Brad, I have a feeling we're going to be the same.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Which you wouldn't think with Nick Cage's movie role that we would somehow wind up on the same, but I have a feeling we did. Because there's so many Nick Cage movies that I watch all the time. I mean, Con Air is a big one. The Rock is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Raising Arizona. Mm-hmm. I'll watch it if it's on. I don't ever find it. But The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh,
You're alone on that one.
I'm alone a lot of the time, okay, Brad? And I'm doing fine.
For me, definitely Face Off.
Yes.
I'll get into it a little bit more later on, but Face Off and Con Air are definitely two movies that I have to see at least once a year, every 2 years, because I mean, Nick Cage is just so good.
He's so good. Mm-hmm. Face Off is an interesting film. I have thoughts.
Yeah. It's just so good. I believe John Woo directed it.
Yeah.
Face Off. It was just so good.
Yeah. It's got that John Woo pigeon scene, so you know for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why does he have to do that in every movie?
I don't know.
It ruined Mission Impossible 2.
And it's in
one
Broken
of the many
Arrow.
things.
It's in Mission Impossible 2. Mission Impossible 2 is hot garbage. And it's in the Face Off. I'm trying to think of all the other movies he does it in because it's in all of his films.
Yeah, that's kind of like his signature thing.
Yeah.
Now,
and like honestly,
Face Off,
it's not a bad signature. My signature is a shit ton of birds flying off.
Face Off has probably like the greatest opening credits sequence ever.
Ever. We are talking about the priest, right?
Yes.
Yes. No, absolutely. 100%. Maybe the best thing Nick Cage has ever done.
The look on his face whenever he cups the butt of the woman in front of him and just puts his head back and roars into the sky, basically.
Or just the whole dance he does. I love it. I do love it. I like to pick Face Off apart, though, because I have some big problems with it.
Really?
They're not like, I don't enjoy the film problems. There's a lot of thoughts that I have about Face Off that I shouldn't have. Like, I shouldn't be investing this much time into the science, the medical science
Exactly.
of Face Off.
So what if their body types are completely different?
I get stuck on that shit, though, man. I'm always like, but what? People are like, you've got to stop. Like, you are not doing well.
It's like, sure, they just shrunk John Travolta's skull to fit Nick Cage's face.
It's so
it just
weird,
made sense,
man.
right?
The medical science is so bizarre. But it does not keep me from enjoying the movie. I just have multiple journal entries where I think about how they thought, let's just do this shit.
So on that topic of best Nick Cage movie, my honorable mention is Face Off.
Oh, nice.
I have so much fun with that movie. It's everything that I could ever ask for. I love John Travolta. I love Nick Cage. They could just never do wrong for me. I somewhat enjoyed Gotti. It's not a good film, but because John Travolta's in it and he's giving it 110%, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than Robin Hood. I enjoyed it a lot more than a lot of other movies I've seen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this film is just so much enjoyment. That scene you were talking about, Brad, with Nick Cage in the beginning, him on the plane with all the slow-mos with the really cool gold guns.
I could eat a peach all day.
I could eat a peach for hours.
I actually think it's such a mind trip when you think about the fact that Nick Cage is giving a performance as Nick Cage the actor, acting like John Travolta, who has to act like Nick Cage.
That's the best part.
It's so crazy. And John Travolta has so much fun being Nick Cage in that movie. Like,
you good looking.
I think that might be one of my favorite John Travolta roles for sure.
Dude, I'm telling you, this movie is awesome. Like, Nick Cage on that plane, he's like, I forget what the line is verbatim, but he's like, if I were to let you suck my tongue,
yes,
would you be grateful? This is only Nick Cage could pull this off.
Because I feel like that's how Nick Cage has gotten 2 or 3 of his wives. It's like that opening song. No, that's a good honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, and my favorite Nick Cage movie is The Rock.
Wonderful.
I love The Rock so much. This is, to this day, still Michael Bay's greatest film.
Mm-hmm.
It takes all of the Michael Bay isms, and they're still cool to this day. Even though you've seen all of his other movies, you go back to The Rock, and it's just great. Every low-cut shot with the propellers on the helicopters moving really, really slow. Everything just works. Sean Connery is great.
So good.
Ed Helms is great. Not Ed Helms. Ed Harris.
He's like the best villain.
Yeah, he's so good. Michael Biehn is in this movie. Everything that Michael Bay does great, it happened in The Rock. And that's why The Rock is my favorite Nick Cage movie.
It's my honorable mention.
Okay, yeah.
So we're very close right there because it is just such a great film. I agree with you. Like, there's nothing about it that doesn't work for me and doesn't still work for me and isn't still a film that I get excited when it's on television. And it gets quoted a lot in my house. I'll say that The Rock and Con Air get quoted more in my house than they should, but I'm totally fine with it.
Well, and what's your best?
I think we're going to have the same best. My best is Matchstick Men.
That is my best as well.
Oh, that's so crazy. And I don't mean to really freak out that much, but with the amount of movies that Nick Cage has done for both of us to have the same best, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I think it is like his role in the film as a con man with a bunch of different, he has like OCD and he has tics and he has kind of all of these things. He has Tourette's. He has a bunch of little ailments that accompany those larger ailments. Like, his character is so well done. And Nick Cage just gives like the best performance I think I've ever seen.
Ridley
him give.
Scott directs the shit out of that movie.
Yeah, he directs the shit out of it. And
good.
You've got not just a wonderful, amazing performance from Nick Cage. You've got an awesome script. You've got awesome supporting actors.
Sam Rockwell, all the way.
Yeah.
Like, Sam Rockwell kills it in this film.
Alison Lohman is fantastic.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to her. Yeah, because she does a really good job in the film, you know?
Yeah, I know her from that and Drag Me to Hell. Those are like the only things that
Another film she did a great job in. I really do like Matchstick Men. I enjoyed it when I first saw it. Every time I've come back around to see it again, I've enjoyed it. There's a twist ending, kind of in that great idea of the early 2000s. Every movie had a twist. You remember that?
Yeah.
But it works, and it still works. And I think it's an awesome movie. It also has one of the absolute best Nick Cage freakout scenes that you will ever get in a movie.
Have you ever been dragged out to the sidewalk and beaten until you pissed blood? It's so great.
So good. I will say that the movie came out right around the time when I was graduating from high school, and for some reason it just really stood out to me, and so it's also a little bit nostalgic to me to rewatch that movie because I intended to go and major in theater in college, and I thought these are the kind of performances that I would want to give. Like, Nick Cage takes all of his crazy, harnesses it, and it comes out of his body in this phenomenal performance that he just showed up so strong for it, and I just have to give him and the whole movie props.
Yeah, for sure. Brad, what was your honorable mention?
My honorable mention is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Because I love his version of Spider-Man Noir. I think it is hysterical. I think that every line that he has in that movie hits it. I love that movie overall. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie that's ever happened. The best movie or television, any type of media iteration outside of the comic books. Did you see the one with
Topher Grace? Did you see that one? That was a really good one.
I want to forget those, honestly.
Yeah.
They made me empathize with Wilson Fisk.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. That is the mark of a good film.
Yeah.
I really cared about everything he wanted to do in that movie.
It's incredible. It's got such great voice performances from everyone in the movie, but Nick Cage particularly sticks out for me as Spider-Man Noir. I think he's hilarious as the stuck in his time detective and drinks egg creams, and it's so funny.
And I think we were all super excited to see him actually play a superhero.
Yeah.
Like every time Nick Cage plays a superhero, you get a little excited.
Of course.
Because he's such a superhero guy, He's not going to be Superman.
Yeah, I still want to see it somewhere, though.
Yes.
I still want to see that movie.
He voiced Superman in Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Did he?
Which was
cool.
Pretty funny.
Nice, yeah. So what did you love about Matchstick Men that it's your favorite?
For me, it's a combination of everything that was said before, along with the cinematography really sticks out for me. It's shot so beautifully. Like, there's so many great scenes, especially whenever he's in his kind of OCD haze where he's on one of his cleaning streaks. The way that it's shot, you feel that manic energy, and the soundtrack that goes along with it. I love the soundtrack in the whole movie. It's got a really great kind of old school 70s 60s type of feel to it. The twist ending is one that is, if you go back on rewatches, you can see little hints and little things that are showing you it was right in your face the whole time. But the way that it all plays out is great. It's got one of my favorite epilogue scenes. It's just it's a fantastic film.
Yeah, cool.
And he's on an 11 the whole film. Mm-hmm. And it's never a bad thing.
Yeah, I've only seen it once. I need to watch it again so I can look at all of those beats that you were talking about. So let's continue to kick it off. What is your honorable mention for worst Nick Cage movie?
So my honorable mention for worst Nick Cage movie is a little film called Season of the Witch.
Hard to argue with that one.
Season of the Witch I saw in theaters and I was going into it thinking I was going to get a crazy Nick Cage movie, and what I got was a boring Nick Cage movie that has so many different things that make no sense. His hair makes no sense to me. The wig that he's wearing in it is hilarious. The accents are all over the place. Like, different characters have different accents, even though they're all supposed to be from the same place. There's a 10-year-long battle montage sequence that nobody ages from.
They grow
or
a
anything.
beard. That's it. They just start growing beards.
And to top it all off, it's not even about a witch in the end. She's a demon.
Yes.
It's not even the Season of the Witch. And I mean, it was a major theatrical release when this came out. Like, I remember seeing the marketing for this movie everywhere whenever it came out. So,
and it's also like the third time he's played a Crusader.
Exactly.
He just keeps playing Crusaders, and he never tries to do an accent. It's the craziest
just
thing.
Always just straightforward Nicolas Cage.
It's like
he tries to do an accent in Outcast. Have you guys seen that movie?
I actually did not.
Oh my god. It's him and Hayden Christensen.
Oh my god.
What accent is he trying to do? British?
He's trying to do an English accent, and it is just
that's amazing. It probably just comes off as that scene in The Second National Treasure when he's trying to act drunk.
Yeah.
And he's like saying all of the British things to the
That was better.
Yeah. That scene's funny. He wasn't even, I bet it's not funny when he's trying to do it seriously.
No, it did not work. So what's your worst?
My worst is a movie that came out last year called 211. 211 is only an hour and a half long, and it feels 3 times that. The way that the movie is shot, it looks like a soap opera. The lighting is ridiculous. You get Nick Cage as this aging cop who's just days away from retirement, and he's
obviously.
out. Of course,
yes, obviously.
Why not? And he's partners with his son-in-law.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, his partner is his son-in-law, who just found out that morning that his wife is pregnant.
Yep.
So of course he's going to get shot the first chance that someone can get shot. Yep. And to top it all off, they have a ride-along with them.
Do they actually let cops be partners with family members?
That I don't know.
We should Google that, because that feels like they've dropped the ball on plot there.
So there are so many subplots in this movie. There's a heist going on. There's this ride-along anti-bullying campaign type of side story going on. There's like corruption within the police going on. There's the family drama between the father and the son-in-law. It's so much, and Nick Cage gives one of the most phoned-in performances I've ever seen in a movie. It is
Wait till you get
ridiculous.
to mine, but okay.
There are just like, there's every single character that you come across, it feels like this is the first thing that they've ever been in. Especially the bank manager. Like the bank manager is so over the top in every single line that he delivers. There's all these weird interspersed shots from CCTV cameras and cell phone screens, and you can tell they're trying to be like, oh, look at this, like we're commenting on the Big Brother type of aspect of everything, but it doesn't work at all. At all. There's so many things wrong with this movie, and that's why it's my number one worst Nick Cage movie I've seen. It doesn't even have a good Nick Cage freak out in it.
Oh, that's the thing. It's like,
that's true, yeah.
When you're looking to find the worst Nick Cage movies, like, one of the things that makes a shitty movie that stars Nick Cage still good in that weird sense is his freakouts, or like how ridiculously over the top his performance is. And if he doesn't give you that, you feel slighted. You feel cheated. I just sat through this whole stupid ass movie and you're not even going to have a freak out. That pisses me off. That's why I picked my movie.
So let's jump into your honorable mention for worst Nicolas Cage movie.
Okay, so I will say that I just gave this rant about how if you get a good Nick Cage freak out, it can't be a bad film. But my honorable mention goes to Wicker Man.
Okay.
It is just the worst remake on the face of the planet. Like, I don't know why anyone signed up to do that. I've never wanted to watch Nick Cage lose his mind while punching women in the face repeatedly. Like,
dressed as a bear.
Dressed as a bear, man. Like, do you know what happens to you in your mind when you're watching a movie and you're trying? You want to be like James. You want to see the positive. You want to take it seriously. And Nick Cage comes out dressed as a bear.
How to get burned!
And punches somebody in the face. Like, it was the most bizarre
It was
thing.
all about the honey, you bitches!
When they are putting the bees into his helmet, and he's just like, not the bees!
Not the bees! Oh, they're in my eyes! They're in my eyes!
They're in my eyes! It was so... Like, you're just on the edge of your seat, but in the bad way.
Yeah.
Like, hand over your mouth, just like, what? But 100%... It is him coming out in that bear costume and punching that lady in the face that put it on my... It doesn't make any sense. Have you guys watched it? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Were you like, oh, this movie makes sense?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not
Especially
at all.
since like the original is one of the greatest 70s horror movies ever. Christopher Lee, it's fantastic. But yeah, everything that you're saying about it is 100% on the money.
Well, and the really sad part about it, and why I was unsure if I wanted to make it my honorable mention, because he's done... Okay, so Nick Cage has had money trouble. I think his accountant did him pretty dirty, and he wound up owing the government a ton of money. Something like that, right? And he's made 20 films since 2015. 20 films.
It's so crazy.
Like, and most of them play like he was just there for the paycheck, right? I think 211 is one of those films.
Oh, yeah,
I know
definitely.
My Worst Movie is one of those films. $20 on James's first movie being one of those films, but he's smiling at me in a way that leaves me with some doubt. So I'm super excited to see how that goes. But I felt bad picking The Wicker Man because he did that movie because he believed in that movie. And he does give some great freak out moments, but overall that film is just too bad to not be somewhere on the list.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, sorry.
And what was your worst?
So my worst film is a Netflix special. It's not an actual Netflix special. It's just on Netflix. And it is called Inconceivable.
I almost watched this with Nikki Whelan in the lead role,
Sir,
right?
you are lucky as hell that you did not. This is a 90-minute movie that took me a little over 3 days to get through because I had to take mental health breaks. The plot of the film... And I will say, like, the worst part about the movie is the plot of the film isn't bad. Like, the basic plot of the film is that a woman is going around. She had donated her eggs to be used by couples who couldn't conceive. Therefore, they named the film Inconceivable,
Yeah,
right?
they
Y'all
were
see
being
that
clever.
pun right there? That's a good-ass pun. She's going around and checking on the babies who have been born as a result of her giving up her eggs, and if she doesn't think they're being raised the correct way, she kills the family and steals them. The problem with the movie is that it is terrible. It is filmed so bad. The opening scene of the movie plays with her telling this crying baby, like, Daddy's going to be home soon and we have to be gone. She's running down the stairs with the baby. This guy comes in. He stares at her evil. He follows her into the kitchen. She's screaming, just let us go. And he just doesn't say anything, reaches out to choke her to death. And she stabs him and gets away. And you think, this is an abusive husband. She's gotten out of there. And then through a series of flashbacks, you understand that this was the husband of another woman that she's murdered in a bathtub upstairs in one of many random booby scenes that just doesn't need to occur in the film. But I guess they felt there just wasn't enough nipple to keep people interested. And I even, like, replayed the beginning of it for my fiance, and I said, what is your takeaway from the scene? And he's like, that's an abusive husband. Like, even rewatching the film, which I did to an extent, you can't pick up on all of these red herrings. And Nick Cage is literally looks like an alcoholic in the film. He's so bloated. He's so pasty. His hair is dyed jet black. He plays a doctor who wears a leather coat even inside of his house while hanging out with his wife in their bedroom, who drives a Harley. He gets almost no lines. His wife is played by Gina Gershon. They have no chemistry, which is shocking because I thought they had good chemistry in Face Off when she played Nick Cage's girlfriend in that film.
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway is random in the movie for what feels like 6 minutes.
Okay.
At one point towards the end of the movie, Gina Gershon and Nikki Whelan, who's playing the like, somehow she gets pregnant. They ask her to be the surrogate for their last remaining donored egg, which is actually her egg, so she's just pregnant with her own baby, and Nick Cage is the dad. It's like a whole thing. She gets into an altercation with the wife in the kitchen, and everybody thinks the wife is crazy, and she stabs herself in the stomach while 9 months pregnant.
Okay.
So that she can blame the wife. And then when the husband, Nick Cage, comes running in to see what all the commotion is, she accidentally stabs the wife in the stomach. And there is a scene where a doctor comes out and tells Nick Cage she didn't make it. And Nick Cage just falls apart crying hysterically. And you find out later it was all a setup to trick the surrogate mother into thinking that the wife was dead so that they could have this grand reveal of her being alive. But the surrogate mother's not in the room when the doctor tells Nick Cage that the wife is dead. Like, she's not there. The only person in the room is Nick Cage. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They also put this woman completely under anesthesia to do a cesarean, which they don't do. Less than an hour after her cesarean, she's running up and down hospital hallways, which is hard when someone's cut open your body and removed things from inside of it. But I think that the best part of this film is the backstory. So Lindsay Lohan actually was originally attached to the film and was originally supposed to produce the film and was supposed to be starring in the film with Jessica Lange and Juliette Lewis.
Okay, interesting cast.
And it wasn't even supposed to feature the husband. It was supposed to be about a single mom who really wanted to have a baby, and she makes friends with this chick, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, they recast the whole film. The director went on a Facebook rant, furious. This was also his first film. Furious that no A-list big-name actresses would partake in his film, and that he was forced to cast Nick Cage so that there would be a good actor there to support the talent of the women he went with.
Wow.
Which, as it turns out, was Nikki Whelan, Gina Gershon, and Faye Dunaway. The film was shot in 15 days in the house of a friend of the cinematographer who had not moved out. So they would have to move all this guy's stuff out of the rooms that they wanted to use to film in and then move the dude's furniture back in later that day so he could use it. Because it was his house. They shot it in 15 days.
Ridiculous.
Jeez.
They got Faye Dunaway to sign up to it. She broke her leg a week before the film was started. They refused to let her out of it. She was on painkillers the whole movie, and it shows. And they had to rewrite all of her scenes so that she was sitting through all of them. So most of the movie takes place around Faye Dunaway in a chair. They also wrote her part in 6 hours. They wrote her entire part into the film in 6 hours, something like that. The budget was $12.8 million, and it made, how much do you guys think it made?
$8 million.
$8 million?
Oh man, I'm gonna go even lower. I'm gonna say it made like $200,000.
It did. It made $218,000.
I was trying to be kind.
I think that $12.8 million. I think 10 of it was Nick Cage's salary.
Probably.
More than likely.
I honestly, I don't even think it's Nick Cage's worst film. I think it's the worst film ever made by humans. Like, I haven't seen a lot of alien stuff, but this movie is so terrible. It's not even fun to watch. Like you said, it's shot like a soap opera. It feels like it was shot in 15 days. It's awkward. It's weird. The only people who know how to act in it are the child actors. There's a scene where she's dyeing a little blonde girl's hair. It's just weird, and I hated it, and I was mad about it.
Okay.
And Nick Cage doesn't freak out one time.
See, that's where it becomes the worst.
Yes.
Like, my honorable mention is 211 because there are many things that I can forgive about Nicolas Cage. He has some very terrible movies on Netflix, but there's so much fun because it's Nick Cage. Like Stolen, Vengeance, Rage, like
Drive Angry.
Drive Angry. I love that movie. I love that movie.
Can I be very honest? Not to steal your honorable mention, but until you asked that we do Nick Cage today, I had seen previews for Drive Angry. I didn't know it was about hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that was the biggest shocker I've ever
That
experienced.
movie is
that
awesome.
movie is unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Like, sorry, back to you.
No, you're fine. But 211, it's so preachy. It's trying to be so in your face with its subplots, and it just doesn't go anywhere. It's generic, it's boring. Nicolas Cage is phoning it in, and he doesn't even have a freak out. He's just there to collect a paycheck, and it was just ridiculous, stupid, and boring. I was bored out of my mind. I can sit through almost any Nick Cage movie, but that, I can just never see that ever again. It's just almost the worst. And my worst pick is The Wicker Man. That film is, like you said, the worst remake in existence. There's so many subplots in this film. Like, there's a subplot of him carrying around these self-help tapes, and there's also this subplot with him seeing this girl in this car getting hit by a truck, but this has nothing to do with anything else in the rest of the movie. Like, him screaming about the bees, him punching that lady in the face, like, those were the only entertaining parts about this movie. It's like, this movie is trying to be this cool, haunting, terrifying thing, but it's just confusing and it's boring. Like, the lead actress, I can't remember her name, but she just looks lost the entire time. She's like Rosamund Pike in 80% of her movies. She just has this really lost look on her face at the entire time. Like, you have the literal queen bee,
which was so stupid,
of this island. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And it's like all of the men on the island are completely uneducated, and they're essentially like worker bees. They're just there to move things, and
they took that
women
theme
are control,
and they went hard with it. They were like, how does a hive work? Okay. This is the movie.
Yeah. And like,
God, I could just watch B Movie.
Oh my God, B Movie. I've got some issues with that. We'll get to that later, Brad.
Like, there's so many things that this film tries to do to be creepy, and it just doesn't work. Everything about this film is dumb. When they get to the very end where they're going through the entire ritual, none of it feels like it was earned. It just feels like, oh, well, this happened in the original. Somehow we have to end up at this point. You know what I mean? And his freakouts are great. You know, the how did it get burned thing, like, that was great. But the plot of this movie, everything else, not even Nick Cage could save it. And that's why it's my worst. Yeah. Because it's just so terrible that not even the legendary Nick Cage could show me the ray of sunshine in this piece of garbage.
And his, like I said, man, his freakouts are usually what makes a film, right? Like, I love it. Like, there's this terrible movie. Oh, Kiss of Death. That stars David Caruso. And it was back when Nick Cage was in another one of his little slumps, because he's had highs and lows all his career. And it's a terrible film. I still can't believe David Caruso thought that was what was going to launch his career. I bet most people listening don't even know who David Caruso is. But Nick Cage has these awesome freakouts in it that are so entertaining that it's not worth watching, but it doesn't make it the worst film ever. But man, even his "The Bees Are in My Eyes" scene could not save The Wicker Man.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm pretty sure the bees were CGI.
They look
and
CGI
he just had to sit there, and it's like even the freakout was phoned in. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't even seem like he was committed, because Nick Cage is usually always committed. But you can tell in this film, he's just doing it because he has to. I
love the fact that he screams, "They're in my eyes, they're in my eyes," because he didn't know where they were, and he wanted them to CGI bees into his eyes.
I don't know. It's just nothing's earned in that film. They make really weird choices. Like, the pilot that comes to the island every couple of months or whatever, he comes to bring supplies, and this, like, super old lady, she magically kills him, cuts out his eyes, leaves his body there before Nick Cage, who was running towards the plane, could even find the body. How does that make sense? It doesn't. It's just like, it's just a matter of convenience. And it's like, they're on the island and they're torturing him. They're making him scared. They're actually doing things that might kill him, but they don't want to kill him because he has to be the sacrifice for the harvest.
That's the thing that killed me.
So what was the point of the rest of the movie then?
Yes. Like, why are you spending time trying to murder this guy and or scare him so much he leaves when you need him to be the sacrifice at the end of the movie is so bad.
And then he has a dream sequence inside of a dream sequence. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening in this movie? It is just the worst of the worst. But on the topic of Nick Cage freakouts, Brad, what is your favorite Nick Cage freakout?
It has to be the misfiling scene in Vampire's Kiss. It's not that hard. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
It's just so good.
Does he do the eye things really good in that too? His eyes are open so wide.
He's like thrusting his hips, like arms out to the side. It's the whole physicality of the freak out, along with the fact that he is literally just reciting the alphabet, is so great.
It's so good. His secretary, bless her heart for dealing with him. Lola, what about you?
Honestly, mine is the freak out in Matchstick Men.
Yeah.
Because the way that he screams, "Do you piss blood?" at that guy is so funny to me, and he immediately apologizes right after. He yells it at the guy, and then he goes, "I'm sorry, sir." And that's funny to me when someone immediately apologizes for being crazy. I don't know. I love all of his freak out scenes, but that's my favorite. I like when he freaks out over the iguanas and Lieutenant, what is it, Bad Lieutenant? Port of Call, New Orleans, or whatever. And I don't particularly classify that as a Nick Cage freakout scene, but it's more of a like iguana freakout scene with Nick Cage in the background. I don't know, YouTube that, because it is crazy to see.
That whole movie is crazy.
Yeah, that's.
Remember Val Kilmer? Bless him for being in that film with Nick Cage. All right, what about you, James?
My favorite Nick Cage freakout is from Vampire's Kiss, but it's the one where he's talking to Alva about staying to finish finding that one file that she can't locate. It's a horrible, horrible job sifting through old contract after old contract. I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it. You have to. Or I'll fire you. Do you understand? It's just so
his eyes are so big in those scenes. How did he get his eyes so big? You had that up on your TV when I walked in here, and it scared the shit out of me.
It's just the best. It's like, that is just pure Nick Cage being at his best. Like, it's full Cage, as people call it.
Yeah, full throttle Cage.
And that's his favorite movie of his that he's done too. Like, there was I think it was GQ did this interview with him online that was like a half hour long, and they brought up like all of the best Nick Cage freakout scenes. They go through like his whole filmography with him, and he said that he had like the most fun in the world doing Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah. He is the weirdest person.
Yeah. Gotta love him, though. He's his own person. He's unique.
Yeah,
Definitely.
He is very unique. And, you know, I feel bad that he got into such bad financial woes because the 20 movies he's made since 2015 almost made it impossible to pick a worst of Nick Cage film.
Yeah.
And that's not fair because I want to be able to talk about where Ghost Rider 2 doesn't hit it. You know what I mean? Or talk about all of the actual, like, Sorcerer's Apprentice. I get it. Most people hate it. I love it. And I'd love to talk to you guys about that. Because he's great in it.
I like Jay Baruchel.
Oh, yeah, God. Get out.
I love that guy.
So sorry. Goodbye. No.
You don't like him?
No.
I like his comedic timing.
Yeah.
I think he's really funny.
What's the girl in that is what? Teresa Palmer, too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's one of the chunks of blonde Australian women that hit the big screen in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Remember? That was like 6 or 7 of them. I get them all confused. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame because these 20 films he's done since 2015 are just hot garbage.
There are a couple of gems in there.
Yeah,
though.
like
you got
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse and you got Mandy. Mandy was so close to being my honorable mention because I love that movie so much. It is a crazy, hellish fever dream of a movie, and it has a really great Nick Cage freakout scene in it as well.
Yeah, I was surprised nobody picked that one. He's in little panties in that scene, for God's sakes. Like, little red panties and a tiger, and Ed Hardy's tiger shirt. Like, that, you know what? That's it. That's mine. I change everything that I've said. I want the Mandy scene where he's just in a bathroom, in a tighty whities, screaming.
Yep, it's great.
Okay, so you're stuck on a desert island, and you can only watch one Nicolas Cage movie for the rest of your life. This is the one movie that you can watch for the rest of your life, and it has to be a Nick Cage movie. What would it be? Let's start with you. Con Air?
Con Air.
What about you, Brad?
I'm sticking with Matchstick Men. Matchstick Men is one of my not just favorite Nicolas Cage movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Period.
Okay.
I feel like that would depress the shit out of me if I was all alone on a desert island, though.
Yeah, that is true.
Con Air would at least remind me I don't have diabetes.
So, although I picked The Rock as my favorite, if I'm stuck on a desert island and I need to be entertained forever, Face Off.
Oh, yeah.
It's gotta be Face Off. Like, that movie is just too awesome.
Yeah.
I would spiral into a deep, deep depressive well of trying to figure out the medical science of that film. I already do it for like 3 or 4 days every time I see Face Off. It just doesn't. They're not the same size. And the wife has sex with him when he's the other one. She wouldn't recognize that the penis is different.
Yeah.
Like,
That was my argument, too. It's like, don't you... It's different?
I would know, but let's move on. But that shit's weird to me, is all I'm going to say. It's a great film, though.
What did you guys think? Do you think that Nick Cage did a better film than Leaving Las Vegas that he got the Oscar for? Do you feel like there was another film that he did? I know there's a lot of movies that he did, but do you feel like he should have won another Oscar for one of his other performances?
I do think he should have been a contender for Matchstick Men.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's the performance of his career, honestly. Even more so than Leaving Las Vegas, which is an incredible performance.
Yeah.
But Matchstick Men, he got all of the nuances down of all of those different mental ailments, and it's hard to do that in such a believable way. And for some reason with Nick Cage, it just works.
Yeah, that guy is he's gold. He really is. I look forward to the films that he has on Netflix and Prime Video because, I mean, I am going to find something enjoyable in there unless it's like 211 where it's just like, this is just horseshit. Mm-hmm. But he has a lot of gems. He's done like 98 movies in his career right now. And he's only going to do like a shit ton more.
If he knocked out 20 in 4 years, let's see what we get in the next 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's going to be, hopefully he pays the government back and can start focusing on better films.
Yeah.
But I do love me some Nick Cage.
Yeah. I think for the next episode, I would love to do like M. Night Shyamalan or like Christopher Nolan. Like, I feel like those are going to be really hard to do, kind of, because Nolan just has hit after hit after hit, and M. Night has such great films, so it's going to be interesting trying to find the best one, and then really trying to find the worst one, because I mean, between Lady on the Water and The Last Airbender, like
After Earth is in there too.
Oh, it's After Lady in the Water is good as hell. Y'all sit there, watch Lady in the Water, and then watch The Last Airbender, and then come back to me about how bad of a film Lady in the Water is.
Which one of those do I choose?
Not Lady in the Water, because that movie good as hell.
It's not.
It is very good, James.
That movie is garbage.
It makes me feel sweet on the inside. I don't know what that even means. You ever go so far you forget what you're saying? Oh.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Best One, Worst One. New episodes will be available every single Monday for patrons at the $3 tier, and we will be releasing one random episode once a month on iTunes, Spotify, and pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. So again, thank you guys so much for listening. Lola, Brad, this was so much fun having you guys back on this podcast, and of course, we'll be releasing our episode of 2018's Robin Hood on the Careful for Spoilers channel. So thank you guys so much for being on the podcast.
You should thank me for watching all of these movies. This was a terrible week. This was a dark week. I'm really excited to do M. Night Shyamalan.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Again, guys, I'm going to keep saying it. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.